Good evening, second English students, and this video is on the paper literary forms. Okay, so far we completed first 3 units, introduction and the poetry and the prose. Okay, now we shall move to the 4th unit, drama. Okay. In the previous video we discussed the origin of dramas, and now in this video we shall discuss more about what do you mean by drama and various genres of drama. Okay, so what do you mean by drama and the genre tragedy. Okay, that's what we will discuss in this video. Drama presents fiction or fact in a form that could be acted before an audience. It is the imitation by action and speech. A play has a plot, characters, atmosphere, and conflict. Unlike novel, which is read in private, a play is intended to be performed in public. So, this is the definition or idea of drama. Drama presents fiction or fact in the form that could be acted before an audience. Okay, it could be a story that could be enacted before an audience. So that is said to be a drama. So it is imitation by action and speech. So it is performed based on action and speech. The emotion, the enactment and speech. The play, a play has a plot, characters, atmosphere and conflict. So a drama or a play has a plot, that is story, characters, who are all the members in the story, that is character, atmosphere and conflict. Atmosphere, that is what is it? The ambience, the surrounding, the environment. Okay, the time, the costume, the what is the place in which the story happens, what is the environment, what is the period, what is the time, and everything comes under this topic, atmosphere. And then conflict, that is the problem that the characters face, that the story has. Okay, so these are the most important features in a play or drama. Unlike novel, which is read in private, a play is intended to be performed in public. So another most important difference between a drama and a novel is that a novel is meant to be read in private, but a drama is meant to be performed in public. Okay, so that is the most important difference between a drama and a novel. Okay, so these are the ideas about drama. Traditional drama is divided as tragedy and comedy. Tragedy deals with a dark side of life, and comedy on the other with its comedy deals with the light side. Okay, so now we are entering into the topic of tragedy. Okay. So the genres of drama. So how the genres of drama developed? Traditionally, from the ancient times, from the traditional period, drama is divided into 2 categories: tragedy and comedy. So basically, drama is divided as tragedy and comedy. Later on, only other genres of drama developed. Traditionally, drama is divided into 2 categories: tragedy and comedy. So what do you mean by tragedy? Tragedy deals with the darker side of life, and comedy deals with the light side. Okay, darker side, the suffering side, the side of life which you do not like. So that is said to be tragedy, and other side is light side, that is the happy or light moment. So this is said to be comedy. In tragedy, the characters are involved in circumstances and situations that force them towards an unhappy end. Thus, a tragedy usually ends in unhappiness for central character and sometimes in their death. So, in tragedy, the characters are involved in circumstances and situations which force them towards the unhappy end. So, in a tragedy, the characters are forced to a circumstances which they do not like, as well as the audience. Okay, and it has an unhappy ending. So the climax is the most important. It has unhappy ending. So that is to be a tragedy, and the unhappiness, and because of the what is the main reason for unhappiness? It is because of the death of the central character. Okay, so that is called as a tragedy. In ancient Greece, both comedy and tragedy and comedy originated in rustic festivals which held in honor of nature god Dionysus. Tragedy dealt with the more somber aspect of life, exemplified by stories and legends chosen from mythology. In ancient Greece, Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripides composed tragedies. Traditionally, a tragedy required an exposition, a complication or conflict, climax or crisis, a denouncement or resolution, and a catastrophe at the end. So, tragedy mostly actually drama originated in all civilization, but we shall consider that in Europe, as far as Europe is concerned, dramas originated in Greece, and so in Greece drama is divided as comedy and tragedy, and they originated from rustic festival. Okay, so in local village festival, the dramas were enacted in honor of nature god Dionysus. Okay, so from the celebration of rustic life, especially in honor of nature god Dionysus, dramas originated. Tragedy dealt with the more somber aspect of life, exemplified by stories and legends chosen from mythology. And what is it? Tragedy deals with the more somber aspect, that is a serious and a sad aspect of life, and it is exemplified, exaggerated by the stories and legends chosen from mythology. Okay, so there are some mythological stories or some real legends, and their stories are exemplified. A little bit exaggeration is added, and then and that's how tragedies were written. Okay, and so the greatest Greek tragic writers were Sophocles, Euripides, Aeschylus. Okay, they were the greatest tragedy writers, and traditionally a tragedy required an exposition, a complication, or a conflict, or a climax or crisis, denouncement or resolution, and a catastrophe. Okay, that's how tragedies were written. These are the parts that tragedy has. That is exposition, that is the problem is introduced, and complication or conflict. The first one is the first part is the problem is introduced. The second part is complication or conflict. So that is the problem is improved. The problem is developed further, and then we have a climax. The story. We have the turning point or the situation that is moving towards an end, and then denouncement, and then all characters make some resolution, and the catastrophe, that is the end of characters. Okay, these are all the parts of tragedy. Traditional tragic writers followed this pattern. Okay, and Aristotle talks about tragedy, and Aristotle says that tragedy is the noblest form of literature. So the greatest art form, not only literature, the greatest art form is the tragedy. Tragedy has the power of transforming human beings. That's what Aristotle says, and that's why he laid various rules and regulations to write a tragedy. He laid down certain perspectives to be followed by tragic poet. They form the basis of classical approach to tragedy. So, since Aristotle understood that tragedy has the power to transform human beings, so tragedy should be written, should be well written. Then only it will be helpful for human beings. Okay. So he laid various rules and regulations, and that's how criticism and the concept of classical tragedy also developed with Aristotle. So, according how tragedy could be written according to Aristotle. According to this, a tragedy should have a plot, a character, structure, spectacle, catastrophe, and catharsis. Okay. So, Aristotle says that a tragedy should have a plot, character, structure, spectacle, catastrophe, and catharsis. Okay. So, what do you mean by plot? Plot is the story of the drama, the tragedy. Drama or tragedy, and the characters. So, what are the characters? The human characters, or mythological characters, or animal characters? It doesn't matter. Who are all the members of the story? Okay. So, they are said to be the characters, the structure, and the spectacle. Okay. Whether it has a chorus, whether it has songs, whether it has background music. So, the structure and the spectacle. Spectacle is the acting performance. Okay, so how the story is narrated and how it is enacted and performed. So that is that is most important aspect of a tragedy. And then catastrophe and catharsis. Catastrophe, that is the destruction. There are differences between destruction and death. Catharsis is death, and catastrophe is the destruction, the danger. Okay, so that is said to be catastrophe and catharsis, and these are all the most important elements in a tragedy. Okay, so according to Aristotle, a tragedy should have a plot, character, structure, spectacle, catastrophe, and catharsis. And other rules that Aristotle discusses are these. Only lives of famous and powerful men like kings and warriors were fit subject for tragedy. The suffering and death of such characters raised above common man evoke pity and terror in the minds of spectators. And Aristotle says that tragedy should be written on great men. Okay, so great men, powerful kings and warriors, and they are the fit subject for tragedy writers, and the suffering of these people only can evoke pity and terror. Okay, so why Aristotle laid this rule is that since the great king himself, the great king or great warrior, the great rich man, they themselves suffer and die, and common people will realize that since great men also suffer and die, and common men, we common men may also have such kind of sufferings. Therefore, I should lead a moral way of life. Such kind of mentality will develop on common people and human beings. Will be developed only tragedies written on great people like warriors and great warriors and kings and great rich people. Okay, so since he is such a rich man, and the rich man himself suffers and dies, so therefore we common people life may also end in such a horrible way, and therefore I should lead a moral way of life. So in order to inculcate such value, the tragedy should be written on great people. So that's why Aristotle says that tragedy should be written on kings, warriors, and great people. And Aristotle spoke the effect of tragedy on the evocation of pity and on the achievement of catharsis or cleansing our emotions. So then Aristotle further says that tragedy has the power of cleansing human emotion, cleaning the human mind and cleaning our emotion. Tragedy has such a power. Okay, since it evoked a kind of pity, though it is imaginary character or real character, it has the power to sympathize on other people. Okay, that is the most important character for human being. Okay, that character should be developed. Though it is imaginary character, the tragedy has the power to sympathize on those characters. Okay, and when after watching the drama, when he sees other human beings, then he the same sympathy will be developed on other human beings also. So that is the belief of tragedy, and that's why he says that tragedy has the power to clean human emotions and human mind. However, in the great tragedies of Marlowe and Shakespeare, the insistence of great themes and illustrious persons was often violated. In modern times, we have several tragedies of low and humble life. However, Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe violated Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe violated Aristotle's rules and regulations, and in modern days, these rules were not followed. Okay, Aristotle's rules and regulations were not followed. They wrote tragedy in their own way. Okay, so that's how tragedies were written. Tragedies were written on common people, on common man's life, humble person's life. Okay, so many people. Shakespeare wrote tragedies on great people, but great warrior, rich man. But Marlowe also wrote tragedies on great people and intelligent man. But in modern tragedies only, the tragedy writers wrote plays on common man and common people's life. Okay, this is a violation of Aristotle, but that's how tragedy developed. Okay, like comedy, tragedy also aims at giving pleasure. The pleasure tragedy provides of lofty order. The spectacle of noble character caught in toils and circumstances presented with artistry language raise higher passion in the spectators. The effect is rather exalted and ennobled rather than distressing. Okay, like comedy, tragedy is also pleasure giving. Okay, all art forms, the main aim of all art form is to give pleasure for the audience. Okay, to give pleasure for the people. Okay, tragedy is also pleasure giving. First of all, it is pleasure giving in the sense it is entertaining. A good tragedy should be entertaining. Okay, comedy also entertains people, and tragedy also entertains people. All art forms entertains people. Okay, if you watch a movie, it entertains us. Okay, so likewise, a good tragedy should entertain people. So on that aspect, it gives pleasure, and on another way also, tragedy gives pleasure. How tragedy gives pleasure in the sense it enlightens people. Okay, this is a way I should not lead. Since the great man, this hero also dies because of his pride, or of being suspicious with his wife, or being ambitious, postponing the things, procrastination. Likewise, the tragic hero is such a great man, but he has a single flaw, a small flaw, and because of the flaw, he dies. Okay, that's how Aristotle gives the rules, and Shakespeare and most of the tragedy writers follow this idea. Okay, so since it enlightens common people, the audience, that because of this flaw, this wrong character in the hero's life, he dies. Okay, so therefore I should not have this flaw, this wrong character in my life also. Okay, that's how common people will think after watching a tragedy, and it enlightens us, and that's how it gives audience derive pleasure from by watching a tragedy. Okay, So rather than completely distressing, that's all, human life is that's all, I will die, human life is thoroughly suffering, rather than creating such kind of a pessimistic or distressing tone, good tragedy will create pleasure. It is both entertaining as well as it will enlighten common people. Okay, so that is another point. And then so okay, let me continue in next video. Thank you.